Denise. Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. Denise. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the show. It is April 6th, and today we are going to be chatting AEW Dynamite. And I gotta say, I think all of us are feeling pretty damn good, especially after that main event that we had here tonight. I cannot wait to talk about the show, although I am going to have some, I think, rather different thoughts, because I'm just gonna be totally and outright honest with you guys on this one here, because that's what I promise here on this show is honesty. And when it came down to the card, on paper, I thought that this Dynamite was, pretty good on paper. Seeing all the matches that they had announced, I was pretty stoked for tonight. I was really looking forward to that tables match, Adam Cole, Christian Cage, obviously FTR and the Young Bucks and all of that. And so while I did think that Adam Cole and Christian Cage absolutely delivered, as well as that main event between FTR and the Young Bucks was absolutely phenomenal. I thought that the show started off great, and I thought that it ended great, but everything in between was not really, I thought that the show in between could have been just a little bit better, and I will talk a little bit more about that once we actually get through each and every individual match and segment and what actually went down on the show. But with that being said, the opening match and the main event was absolutely phenomenal. But let's get to this, guys. Before we get into everything, I do want to remind you guys, if you do send in a super chat at any point throughout the show, it is the best way to get your comment read here on this show, 100% guaranteed, as well as they do help me out here on this show. So let's get to it. We got our first super chat of the day from my good friend Andrew Cook, who says, Denise, I loved your vlog today. Great job this past weekend. I'm here every Wednesday because we love talking wrestling with you. Thank you so much, Andrew. I am beyond thankful for everyone that has watched that vlog on my YouTube channel. I think it's like nearly almost 6,000 views, which for a vlog I think is pretty damn good. So go check it out if you haven't already. I've gotten nothing but positive feedback from that vlog. So I think it's the best way to kind of give you guys an insight on how crazy this WrestleMania week was. Not only was I at WWE essentially covering all of their events, WrestleMania, the media junket and all of that, I made my Ring of Honor debut, which was absolutely crazy. Like, if you guys only knew everything that I got to experience backstage. I saw William Regal. I saw Samoa Joe right before he went out. I saw everybody who's everybody. I officially met Tony Khan, which was crazy too, especially the way that happened. It was one of those things where I walked out of the locker room, right? And I'm walking down this hallway, and right down the hallway, I see Tony Khan. So it was one of those things where I was like, oh shit, this is all happening. Oh damn. I ate at AEW catering. Think about that. I didn't film that because I was too busy, but that was pretty cool. And then I also want to give a super shout out to Tim, director of AEW, who was so incredibly nice to me while I was there at Ring of Honor. And it was just such a cool experience. I got to hang out for a bit. I got to hang out for a bit in the production truck, which was really awesome. I got to see all the angles of the matches and whatnot. I didn't shoot any video or photos there because, that's just private information stuff. But I could let you guys know that I did get to see some pretty cool stuff, especially the way that they, produced the show, put the show together from a production standpoint. So that was phenomenal. On top of that, there was GCW. There was a whole lot that went down. So thank you to Andrew Cook for sending that in. Another super chat from my good friend Reggie Simmons, who says, I think FTR just had the best week in tag team history, and that was a face or a heel turn for you at GCW. It was definitely a face turn with Sean's heel promo that he cut. But yes, FTR has been killing it. That match with the Briscoes had everybody buzzing because it was pretty good stuff, guys. Pretty good stuff. Pile Driver Finisher sends in a super chat saying, "Hey Denise, I wanted to apologize yesterday for the chat. I was in a loop where you were repeating the same thing. The chat thought I was trolling." I have no idea, but Pile Driver Finisher, you are a very awesome person. You're always in the stream, so you had no beef with me. No need to apologize. There's no beef, but thank you so much for sending in the super chat here today. Alrighty, guys, so let's get right into the show because, like I said, there is tons to talk about here today. All right, guys, here we go. Sal P says, "My favorite was that you cussed throughout the whole video, but in the end you said sorry for cussing." Yeah, I accidentally didn't realize that until I was putting the whole draft together, and I was like, oh, well, that's awkward. Anyways, but let's move on here, guys. So we opened up the show with Adam Cole versus Christian Cage, and this is a match that I think you guys know why. On paper, you're already pretty darn excited about it. You know, Adam Cole is a phenomenal wrestler. You know, he's been killing it. He's been having bangers with just about everybody. If you were a fan of his work in NXT, chances are you're a fan of his work, you know, heading into AEW. If you're just discovering him in AEW, it's one of those things where you're like, okay, cool. Like this guy is, you know, starting to build himself up on the roster and whatnot. But Christian Cage, who is literally one of the best workers in wrestling. So you get both of these guys in this match together. And what we got was a really fun, really solid opening wrestling match. And my favorite thing about this was that everybody knew why they were excited about this match, because the second it started, the crowd was tremendously hot for it. They were on fire for this match. And throughout the match, you know, they're going out there, they're really laying things in, they're really killing it in the ring. And moments before the finish, we got this incredible moment where there was this standing ovation from the crowd because they really, really enjoyed that match so much and also, you know, respected the two guys that are in there. And so we got this really cool moment where we had this standing ovation from the crowd, which kind of to me added to the reason why people were excited to see this match. But there was a lot of really cool stuff. Some of my favorite moments right off the top of this match was just kind of like the attitude that we were getting from Adam Cole every time he did anything to Christian Cage, like spitting in his face or spitting directly to his face. Like that is, you know, a very disrespectful thing to do. So, you know, it added to the attitude that he was bringing to this. There was a moment where Cage like literally clotheslined Adam Cole on the outside, and it was so good. There was also another moment which I loved because we had Adam Cole essentially toss Christian Cage into the steel steps. But the way that Cage hit those steel steps, it was like his knees just ran right into that. But after that, his body went like flying over the actual steps. So it was a pretty brutal bump, but it looked pretty damn good. So, you know, we saw Cage take a lot of pain to the knee throughout this match. There was also a moment where he did a leapfrog over the ring post, and that was a little bit of a brutal landing. I wouldn't necessarily say it was the best landing, but it kind of added to the brutality of this match, period. Cage, you know, landing several punches on Adam Cole. We got Cage hitting a swinging DDT, which was cool. Cole hitting a backstabber on Cage. On top of that, we had this moment where just like Cage goes to like around like to the outside of the ring and then just like ends up slapping Cole across the face. So I kind of like that because earlier in the match you had Adam spitting on his face, and then afterwards you kind of saw like that moment sort of like return the favor by like slapping him across the face. So I kind of like that little touch. But what we got here afterwards was a bunch of near falls, and I think that really also added to the excitement of this match, was seeing all of those near falls. We do see Adam Cole hit the boom on Cage, but he does so first with the knee pad, and so it doesn't stick. He eventually ends up winning the match by hitting the boom once again, but without the knee pad. So that was really good stuff. I really love this match, and I think that the crowd felt the same way, especially with their reactions. Before we move on to the super chats, because I see that they're coming in here, I do want to go ahead and really quickly talk about what happened after the match, because after the match, we do see Red Dragon and Jurassic Express go at it as they both, run in. They end up brawling, doing their thing. And we are going to be getting a match between Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus against Red Dragon next week. I believe it's going to be on Dynamite. Yeah, on Dynamite. But before we get to the stuff that happened afterwards with the two Adams, how did you guys feel about this opening match? Go ahead and send in some thoughts. I'm going to go ahead and pull those up, and then we'll get into Adam Page, Adam Cole, and talk a little bit more about that. We got a super chat from AEW Mark 2018 who says Julia had black paint on cheek. House of Black faction soon. I think we've all known that it's coming, and we'll talk more about Julia in just a second, because we saw her, give a little attitude, give a little sass here today to Griff and Brian. So we'll talk about that in just a second. We got a super chat from Leonard Aarons III who says, unbelievable main event. FTR solidifies their grip on the #1 spot in tag team wrestling, wins over Bucks and Briscoes in under a week. They're the champs. Six-star FTR, simply outstanding. It's funny, like, I feel like the FTR is that team that they're consistently winning you over. Like, I remember, like, I wasn't like the biggest FTR fan, like back in the day. I really wasn't like feeling them too much, to be honest. And that's just my God honest truth. But I swear, every single match that they've had, they're just like, yeah, you know what? Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, I end up liking them more and more and more each time. So they've definitely earned my fan appreciation time and time again. So yeah, the FTR is definitely killing it, man. And even like when we see Dax like wrestle, singles matches, he goes out there and he kills it too. So it's like, just kind of seeing them mix it up with different teams and, getting these dream matches. It's all pretty good stuff. So thank you to Leonard Aarons III for sending this in. And Bridget Hewlett with a very, very generous super chat says, I can't watch tonight, but wanted to drop in real quick and let you know how awesome you are. Bridget, you are amazing. You are awesome. Thank you so much for always showing your appreciation on this show. I appreciate you. So thank you so much to Bridget Hewlett. We got a super chat from Lake who says, did Tony Khan ever mention anything about the other free agents that appeared at the Ring of Honor show? Dalton Castle, Josh Woods, etc. You mean like on an interview or on Twitter? I don't think he's mentioned anything just yet. However, I didn't get to watch his post-media scrum because I did have to leave a little bit earlier. So I don't know if he said anything there, but not that I personally know of. So thank you to Lake for asking that question as well. We got another super chat from Juan Rodarte. Thank you so much to Juan, who says, Denise loved the podcast. Max Caster was lit. We don't deserve Adam Cole. Jade Cargill with the total package gold chain. This Dynamite gave me WCW Nitro vibes. I can't believe how horrible the NXT crowd was last night. Okay, I gotta laugh at your super chat for a second, Juan, because you were everything was AEW, and then last thing NXT completely threw me off there. But I appreciate your honesty and your generosity for sending in your thoughts here. We got another super chat from a Jake Ostrich who says, anyone noticed Christian Cage kind of left quickly after the pinfall and then kind of ducked out quickly in the brawl afterwards? Don't know if anything was of it, just kind of noticed it. I didn't notice it just because I was so busy looking at what was going on between these, during the brawl, that I didn't actually notice that portion of it. But I just think it was more so of like, he's done, he's going to the back, and that's it, But thank you so much to Jake for also sending this in. Al Prefe Jr. says Christian was pissed that he lost. Yeah. All right. So now let's get into the Adams. All right. Because Adam Page ends up running out and getting straight into the face of the Adam Cole. Like, dang, just straight to it. He's heated, man. He comes in and he is red freaking hot, okay? And immediately gets right in there and challenges Adam Cole to a Texas death match. And the second he said that, I practically leaped out of my seat. And the reason why I leaped out of my seat is that we have been getting a a version of Adam Page as AEW champion that I personally really, really have been enjoying. And that version of him is this guy that's going out there and having these brutal matches, whether it be with Bryan Danielson and those matches, the time limit draw, all the matches that he's been doing with Bryan Danielson, how bloody those got, to then go into this, war with Lance Archer when they did their Texas Death Match. And that was such a freaking good match. Like, it was one of my favorites already when it happened. So, then, going into this feud with Adam Cole, what I've been enjoying about this reign from Adam Page is the fact that he is just basically showing how, like, hardcore he can be, how death-defying he could be with his brutality in the ring, and how he's kind of, like, not afraid to go out there and, put his body on the line, get all bloody, get all crazy, take things to another level. And so for me, he's sort of standing out in that way as, AEW champion. I like that we're seeing this, from our champion. So for me, I was very excited when they announced the Texas Death Match, and you just know it's going to be good. Now, whether or not we're going to be seeing the titles change hands, I legitimately don't know, because how many times can we see Cole go after the bout? I don't know. We'll find out. So if you have any bold predictions, feel free to send those in. But regardless, we are going to be seeing that match. And I believe they said it's happening next week on Rampage. So not next week on Dynamite, but next week on Rampage. So we got some time until then. Let's go ahead and see what people are saying here. And we got Secretive 7 says, we know Hangman will bleed, though. He's been bleeding every month. So he's definitely going to be bleeding. That's for sure. And let's go ahead and get some more here. Let's see what people are saying. Okay, this is from Sean Williams, who says, I'm over the Adams facing one another. I get some people being over it, which is why I like that they added the stipulation of the Texas Death Match. And that's the only, that's one of the major reasons why I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining because I'm a sucker for this type of stuff. So I'm just going to shut up and be like, hell yeah, give it to me. I'll throw my money at you. I don't care. Let's see what else we got here, guys. And let's see. This is from Sal P, who says, I think all of Hangman's defenses should be death matches. Hey, man. He's found something and he's doing it. He's going with it, and it's very much becoming a signature of his title reign here today. And let's go ahead and see what else we got here. This is from Andrew, who says, I haven't been a big fan of Page's championship run. By the way he came at Cole tonight, really made it look like Cole is just a loud speed bump in his reign. That's a strong stance, though. Love it. Yeah, see, here's another reason why I didn't have a problem with it. I know a lot of people are like, why the hell is he getting a rematch, et cetera, et cetera. I don't have a problem with it because it's kind of like, this guy is running his mouth. This guy recently stole your title, put freaking tape all over it, and put his name on your championship belt. And so why shouldn't he be pissed off? He should be coming in here, red hot and super angry. And so it's one of those things where it's like, he wants to shut them, he's being a very, very manly cowboy coming out here and trying to shut up this guy. So for me, I like that kind of a champion. I like a champion that comes out here and, puts this challenge out there and, isn't afraid to get his hands dirty. So I know there's been a lot of criticism over Page's championship run, and I get those criticisms, but because of the level of matches, that the quality of the matches that he's been having, the work rate that he's been having as champion, that's why I'm not complaining, because I love the work rate of the matches that he has been having with several different competitors now. So here we go. This is from Bruce LB, who says, people were complaining about doing another death match so soon, but this match isn't for the fans. It's for Hangman to get his revenge. Exactly. This has gotten very personal between Adam Cole and Adam Page. And alrighty, let's go ahead and see what else we got here. But Mayfi says, Adam Page bleeding every month. Nice one. Well, he tweeted that. And then everybody made period and menstruation jokes. So that was that's obviously something we're going to do. Alrighty, guys. So let's go ahead and continue this. That was just the opening segment of the show. But now let's get into probably one of my favorite humans out there. One of my favorite wrestlers, one of the most believable people on this planet. Here's my thing, guys. there's a lot of wrestlers that, come out and they, act like tough guys, right? But there's only certain people that you actually buy it. Like there's certain guys that you wouldn't go up to them and, mess with them at a bar or something. Like you ain't picking a fight with certain guys. There are certain guys that act tough, but you're like, you know what? I could take him. You know what, that guy, I could beat him up in the gas station or something dumb like that, right? So there are certain guys that are not believable when it comes to like acting like tough guys, right? Well, completely and polar opposite of that is Samoa freaking Joe. Samoa Joe has always been on this level where he is this guy you just do not mess around with. Like people don't chant that, he's going to kill, like Joe's going to kill you for absolutely no reason at all. Samoa Joe has earned this reputation and you've seen him kill a bunch of people in the ring. So that's one of the things that for me, when I see Samoa Joe going out there, it's like, yeah, that's the kind of person that I want to cheer for. That's the kind of wrestler I want to root for because it's believable and I'm buying his shit. So anyway, so Samoa Joe versus Max Caster. The second this was announced, I thought, oh, this is going to be great. It's going to be great for two reasons, okay? We all knew that Max Caster was going to cut some interesting lines on Samoa Joe, considering, everything that went down with him in WWE, the multiple releases, just all of that. Two, Samoa Joe is going to kill this guy. This guy's like half his size. Samoa Joe is going to kill him, right? So those were the two reasons why I know I was looking forward to this match. And let me tell you, those two reasons were exactly why this was actually very enjoyable. This was good. This was simple, straight to the point, and it gave the fans what we wanted and what we expected. What we expected from Max Caster was for him to, cut out, do this rap. He mentions a couple things. He mentions a line where he says, "You're not a tough guy, Joe, you're just injury prone." So that was a shot. Samoa Joe did get some injuries in WWE, etc. There was also, and I didn't write this line down because I wasn't recording and I couldn't rewind, so my bad. But there was also a line where he kind of makes inappropriate rated R joke about why Samoa Joe always has a towel with him. And if somebody has that line, by the way, verbatim, can you please send it to me? Because I remember laughing about it, but I don't remember it word for word. So if you have the line verbatim, please send it to me. On top of this, there was a moment where he said that this guy was champion when we beat NXT in the ratings, but without actually mentioning NXT. So that was really funny. So threw shots at him all over the place. And I was very much loving Max Caster's rap. I think he definitely nailed it. I was expecting him to say something about the releases, and I don't recall him saying anything about the releases, so I was expecting it. Okay. The match itself. Joe literally going out there, he laid out a bunch of strikes on Max Caster, chopping him, doing a suicide dive, etc. And then he hits the muscle buster and gets the win. This was a squash match. It was fast. It was brutal. It was exactly what it needed to be. So bless Max Caster's heart, because I do adore Max Caster, but he got killed tonight by Samoa Joe. And this was officially Samoa Joe's AEW debut, which was absolutely great to see. I was very happy when I saw him backstage at Ring of Honor. I was like, oh shit. I was sitting down watching the show in the back and on the monitor with the talent and whatnot, and it was almost coming to an end, and we all knew that there was going to be a big surprise pitch. I didn't know what the surprise was. I legitimately did not know until I saw Samoa Joe walking out, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be Samoa Joe. So that was cool. I didn't get to say hi to Samoa Joe, but it was still cool to see. Alrighty, guys, so here we go. What people get here, what people are saying about this. We got Yakuza series who says Samoa Joe versus Kenny Omega, AEW wrestling. Scott George says Joe was funny, seemingly to agree with Max Caster's rap, knowing he was getting killed during the match. Yeah, he even started dancing at one point, and I'm like, all right, Joe, cool. Cool with that. Let's see what else we got here. Let's go through a couple more. This is from Sal P, who says Max Caster got beat so bad he's gonna be mini Caster now. King of Hueco Mundo says the crowd was insane, nothing compared to the WrestleMania pay-per-view crowd. I will tell you that. Well, I mean, it was two different types of show, guys. Like WrestleMania was their biggest, WWE's biggest show of the year, and this was Dynamite. So if it was like, all out, all in, double or nothing, then all right, you can compare the two. But you can't compare the two in this situation, though. Two totally different things here. Justin Martin says, I love the fan that said, yo, listen, Joe's gonna kill you. That sums up the match perfectly. I didn't see it. I did not see that sign, but I wasn't paying too much attention to the signs today. I wasn't doing my best. I paid attention to the signs like I normally do. Anyway, so post-match, we get Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal who appear on screen, and they're basically saying like, hey, we're not going to come out there and ruin your moment the way you ruined ours at Ring of Honor, right? And we all know it's because they're scared of Samoa Joe, okay? But anyways, so Lethal said that next week they're going to present Samoa Joe with a massive present. If you have any idea what that massive present could be, any theories, send them in. I don't have any right now, but the other thing that we got that I thought was really funny was Jay Lethal basically saying that Samoa Joe wasn't answering his phone calls. And he says, I guess you only answer the phone calls of billionaires. And I thought this was a hilarious line, mainly because I'm like, Jay, my man, you think that if a billionaire calls somebody that they're not going to answer? Every single average Joe on this earth would answer the phone call of a billionaire. Don't lie to yourself and say you wouldn't, because we all would. Anyways, he calls him a gold digger. That was interesting. Alrighty. This is what's cool. I like that they're kind of mixing in, they're not, shying away from mentioning the Ring of Honor storylines, from weaving them into the AEW show. So I do like that. I really wasn't sure how, Ring of Honor and AEW were going to coexist, so to speak, but I wasn't really sure how they were gonna weave that in together. So we did get a little bit of that here today, which I thought it was good. It was not so much that it overpowered AEW, but it was just enough to be like, hey, like, this is what happened on Ring of Honor, etc. And this makes sense to the story that we're telling here today. So I did like how there was that weaving of Ring of Honor and AEW. We got a super chat from Roberto Arsenal who says, the Owen Hart Cup has me hyped. I now want to see Jamie Hayter versus Tony. I miss Britt Baker. I hope she reaches that final of that cup to keep her on TV. Yeah, that's what sucks, guys. It does suck that sometimes, we just stop seeing people on TV. I don't think Britt Baker's somebody that should be off of TV for too often, because she is a big star and she should be on TV in some sort of capacity. She should be on TV. Jamie Hayter versus Tony, they had their little confrontation in the back, and let me tell you, people here, they love both of these girls. Both Jamie Hayter and Toni Storm are loved here. So I could imagine the crowd being sort of 50-50 on this one, because they're fan favorites. Alrighty, so thank you to Roberto Arsenal. We got a very generous super chat from a good friend here, Christopher Marino, who says, this just for all the great work you did over WrestleMania weekend. You killed it everywhere. And how pumped are you that next year will be in LA? Woohoo. Once again, you rule. Thank you so much, Christopher. And I could not be more excited about WrestleMania being in Los Angeles. Freaking finally, okay? Finally. I don't have to go places. And I'm also happy too, because not only is WrestleMania going to be in LA next year, but this year we're also getting AEW Double or Nothing is back in Las Vegas. Due to the pandemic, we weren't able to have the show here. Las Vegas is only a quick drive from Los Angeles, so I'm very happy about that. And on top of that, we're getting two AEW shows here in my neck of the woods. We're getting a Dynamite at the Forum, which is going to be phenomenal. The Forum is 20 minutes away from my house. 20 minutes. I have never traveled 20 minutes to an AEW show ever in my entire life. And then an hour away, they're going to have a Rampage in Ontario. So I finally feel like California is getting some love. So it's very, very nice. Because, guys, I'm getting too old for all of this airplane stuff. My neck hurts, my back hurts, my legs are always squished. Oh, it's brutal. Alrighty. Also, welcome to Ali Khan, who is a new member here on F4W. So shout out to Ali Khan for becoming a member here. Alrighty, guys, let's continue on from here. I knew this was going to happen. Zeno Hour says, Jamie versus Tony, the winner gets my heart. Labor Day's internet is going to be thirsty for that Storm and Hater match. Oh boy, they certainly are. Alrighty, let's see what we got from here. So I made a joke on Twitter because we had a confrontation between the two Adams, right? And then we got a match between the two Seans. Sean Spears and Sean Dean. And I double checked because I wasn't too positive, but they both spell it the exact same way too. So I was very pleased because I could fully make my joke on Twitter about the two Adams and now the two Seans. We have MJF on commentary. This was a very simple match. This was just to further the story with Wardlow and MJF. And Sean Dean, gets a couple of shots in on Sean Spears. Cool. Spears hits a net breaker, goes for the pin, but then decides he doesn't want to go for the pin. That may have been a mistake. He gets a little too cocky, so he continues the match. And then we end up cutting to the back because we end up getting a shot of all the security being laid out. And then MJF's on commentary and he's freaking out. He's like, oh my God, like what the hell's going on with the security? And then lo and behold, we get the big guy. We get Wardlow, who comes all in, all savage looking, comes in and he grabs one of the security guards and literally brutalizes this poor man, grabs him and just starts smashing him into the lockers like he is a rag doll. He continues the beating on the rest of the security guards, and it isn't until he is finally held back by more security guards that they are able to keep Wardlow out. And I got to tell you, I am living for this. Also, this ended up causing a distraction, which allowed Sean Dean to get the win over Sean Spears. So good stuff there. But I am loving, and I mean loving, Wardlow every single time he tries to get into the arena and he just beats bodies left and right. And he just looks so angry and he looks like a monster. I love it. Anyways, later on in the show, MJF is doing a promo backstage where he basically says that next week they're going to double up on the security. And I'm like, how much more security can you get? You already have like 40 guys trying to keep Wardlow out. So we're going to have 80 next week. Anyways, we're also going to be getting, I think he said we're getting MJF versus Sean Dean. I think he said next week, but I don't think they actually officially announced it though. But he did mention that in the promo. So, because he did say that he was going to injure him worse than if he was in combat. But I don't recall them actually announcing the match for either Rampage or Dynamite. But they did say that match was going to happen during that promo. Okay. And alrighty. So that was pretty much the end of that here. Let's see what people are saying here. This is from Justin, who says a totally random Sean Spears match was obviously just a setup for Wardlow to storm the arena. Yeah, of course. And I mean, I don't blame them. That's a cool way to incorporate it. I like it. Good stuff here. This is from Labor Days, who says that extra that took the bump on the equipment crate did it so badly, even Wardlow paused looking at the guy's bump. Good stuff, man. Leonard Aarons III says, yeah, he said next week it'd be MJF versus the Captain rematch from earlier this year. Yeah, okay, see, so that did happen, but they didn't actually announce it when they were running through the matches later on. And I should know because I was screenshotting all of them. So I guess at some point they'll clarify all that. Anyways, so after this, we got some more attacks backstage, and this ended up being the Jericho Association Society getting jumped by Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz. So this feud is, still going. Ortiz throws the TV at them, throws the TV monitor out the door. And I'm like, what are you thinking, Eddie Kingston? I loved it. But they end up running away. They're cowards and they leave. So we end up seeing Kingston and Santana and Ortiz go to the ring, and Kingston cuts a promo basically saying that they are now on site. And today I learned the meaning of on site. So turns out that if someone says you're on site, they're going to beat the living shit out of you the second they see you on site. He says, I don't care if you're there with your wife, your children, we're going to, basically beat the crap out of you. Great. I love that. I love that. Sorry to the Jericho Appreciation Society, but that's great. Sounds great to me. Santana takes the microphone and he even says, he refers to the Jericho Appreciation Society as, quote, the Jericho Bitch Society. Love that line. Good line from Santana. It didn't get the pop that I thought it should, but that line deserved a bigger pop, that's for sure. And he basically says he wants the hardest fight from them. So this was fun. This was good. They're on site. I learned a new meaning for this word here today. So that was very exciting for me. All right. Tony says, now that, Denise, was entertainment. Agreed. Definitely agreed. Alrighty. After this, we got Jade Cargill coming out and cutting a promo. So there was one thing that I did not like from this promo, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys what it is. So she comes out. She's doing her interview with Tony Schiavone, and, she introduces her baddie section, and I'm like, cool, okay, the baddie section. All right, cool. Mentions, Mark Sterling mentions that it's hard to find beautiful people in the city, but that Jade Cargill works hard and she was able to find them. And I'm like, okay, awesome. She says that Marina Shafir can't sit in her baddie section. All right, awesome. But then this is the line that completely took me out of this. She says that she's tired of all the MMA losers coming into the business. She said, she was tired of all the MMA losers coming into the business. This is the line I didn't like. And the reason I didn't like it is, if you want me to take Jade Cargill seriously, you can't necessarily have lines like this that are not believable. If you have a background in MMA, that to me makes you a bigger threat. It makes you into a big deal, right? So I was not a fan of this line. I cannot suspend my disbelief. And I get what she was trying to do, the wrestlers over MMA sort of thing, but I don't like that. I don't like it. I didn't think it worked. I don't think the line worked, and I couldn't suspend my disbelief to actually believe that. So to me, it was kind of like it was a little bit like you're insulting the audience's knowledge when you say something like that. So for me, I was not a fan of this line, but whatever. And then she refers to herself as a problem solver. So that was my big little gripe with this. It's like, say things that are legitimate, not things that are not legitimate. So anyways, that's what we got here today. And let's see what else we got here. We got Holy Gio, who says, I agree. And no, I do not hate Jade Cargill. I like Jade Cargill. I think she has a phenomenal look. She's doing phenomenal stuff. They have managed to build her into a star where people know who she is, which is a huge thumbs up. But I was not a fan of this line. So that's how I feel about that. But this is from Hodge Glass. He says, I agree with her. It always bugs me when the MMA fighters get pushed right off the bat, higher than wrestlers. It belittles wrestlers that MMA are just better than them off the bat. See, I don't agree with that. No, not for me. I feel like and I get it, there's always this whole war with MMA fans and wrestling fans and all of that stuff. That's been something that we've seen. But I just feel like you don't want to necessarily treat the audience like they shouldn't necessarily, respect the people that come in here with mixed martial arts background. So for me, I feel like it adds legitimacy to these people that are coming in, obviously, because they go out there and they have these fights. So for me, that's how I felt about it. So I was not a fan of the line. So that's how I felt about that. And let's see what else we got here, guys. And this is from Chris S., who says, Ronda was on a losing streak when she left. So was Van Zant. So it was rooted in truth. This is from Dale Arazi, who says, I think she was throwing shade at people like Ronda, etc. Andrew Cook says, for all her upsides, I'm not into Jade. I'm ready for her to start having competitive matches. Well, she's having the best matches that she can have. So she's going out there and, they're doing a good job at protecting her when she's going out there. Because, she's not going to go out there and have matches, like Thunder Rosa or Britt Baker, but she's going to go out there and do the best match that she can, that she's capable of. She's only had, these about to be 30 or possibly be 30, but she's going into that. So it's like they're easing her in, but they've also, found ways to sort of protect her in the ring, to not highlight her flaws, but rather strengthen her, good qualities. So they have done a good job at that. And Sal P says, was hoping FTR joined the baddie section after their win. All right, let's see what we got here. This is from Pyromage, who says, the crowd popped for the line, and while we might be smart, the idea of pro wrestling is meant to be that it puts itself out as real. We got a Secret of 7, who says Jade is a star. Alrighty, and now we're moving on to this next match here. This is the tables match, which was the Butcher and the Blade versus Matt and Jeff Hardy. This was another match that I thought on paper, this was the match that let me correct myself. This is the match that I thought on paper sounded really good, and I was so excited for it. And even though we had a big, we had a big spot at the end with Jeff Hardy going on, top of the ladder and doing the swanton onto the Blade. Big spot there, right? I wasn't that big of a fan of this match, though. I didn't necessarily think that it flowed in a way where I was into it. It was one of those things where I kind of felt like we started off good. We saw the Butcher and the Blade that were using the legs of the table to go out and, hit the Hardys and all of that. I'm like, okay, cool. But as we kind of continued on, I felt like there was a lot of gaps in between where it was like, I know we're setting up for this spot, and then there's like really nothing happening in between those big moments. So for me, it was kind of like this match where it kind of felt like stop and go, where it should have felt like all fluid throughout the entire thing. So for me, it kept coming in and out of the match, where it was kind of one of those things where I'm like, all right, well, now I'm just waiting for these table spots because nothing is happening in between all of this. So for me, I thought either this match could have been, trimmed down a little bit, or it could have just been like, just shaves the sides off of it or something. Just make it flow a little bit better. So on paper, I thought this was going to be really, really exciting, and it ended up just being okay. And I thought that, I knew everybody was going to love this match really just because of the ending, but just because the ending was good or exciting or cool or whatever you want to call it, doesn't necessarily mean the entire thing was. So for me, this was like, this could have been better. I think in my mind, it was different in my mind, the way when this match was promoted. So I wasn't necessarily too keen on this match here. But then we did see the AFO come out afterwards, and Sting comes out, takes out all the AFO members out with the bat, etc. My favorite part was when Andrade hid behind the bunny. That was funny. Little touch, little things. I like the little stuff. And then I'm trying to think if there was a moment that I really loved besides the ending that I kind of really popped for. Not really. Like, I have tons of notes here of, everything that went down in this match, but there wasn't anything that I legitimately thought, oh shit, that was really cool. So that's how I felt about this match. Let's see what people are saying here in the chat. Let's see what we got here. This is from Chris S says, did they say it was an elimination match? I feel that Jeff wasn't supposed to get put through the table, and they called an audible to change it to make an elimination match with a mistake happen. Yeah, it was kind of weird because, so he goes through the table, right? But the table was like on one leg, like the other one was already wonky, like it really wasn't working. So the table was like a little bit slant, but he ends up going through the table. I don't even know if it actually broke, but whatever. So he goes to the table, and I think it just kind of like bent down, but it didn't even have like the full breakage from what I recall. And then after, like, nothing was really said, and then we went to commercial break. It wasn't until we came back from commercial break where they emphasized, like, okay, Jeff Hardy is eliminated. And for a second, I thought, oh, did something happen during the break, or was it actually that spot with that table? So it was a little bit of a weird little moment there where you really weren't too sure with the elimination. So it did kind of feel a little, it felt rough. It felt rough for sure. This is from Zeno Hour. He says, yeah, this match didn't come together at all. I was bored, sadly, although I don't know if I want to see Jeff do the Swanton Bomb anymore. Yeah, that one's rough because the way that he lands, you can see the person down there really taking that full body weight from Jeff Hardy there. So make what you will of that. WB22G Prick says, I feel like Jeff got hurt and then they just busted out at the end spot when they figured he was able to get up and do it. I don't know, but let's see what else we got here. This is from Roberto, who says it was an above average match, but most AEW matches spoil us because most of them are really good. I don't think it was an above average match. I think it had a cool spot, but the rest of it was just there. Leonard says this was really wonky. They weren't clear on the elimination rules. Then it got worse when the folks were eliminated, didn't have to leave at all. Jeff broke the table early on. Yeah, so it was a little bit confusing because there was a moment where Jeff put, I forgot, I think it might have been the blade. The blade went through the table first, but it wasn't an elimination. So commentary was a little bit like, okay, like this counts as an elimination. This doesn't. And then I think we also thought that if they were eliminated, they were just gone from the match, but then they stayed in the match. So I think it did feel a little bit unclear. Dale Rossi says, I did not understand the rules. I was so confused. We were learning as they kind of went through the entire match. This is also from Bonningham, who says this should have been explained to the viewers a bit better. Yeah, this was one of my things. Like, again, they were explaining things, but as it happened. So it kind of felt like the rules were being made as it was happening. Because, yeah, I think it was the Blade who got put through the table earlier on, and they were like, oh, no, like it doesn't count. But prior to that, like Jeff was selling like, hey, I don't want to hit the table because if I hit the table, I'm out and I lose the match. So it was a little bit, yeah, it was a little bit rough for sure. And let's see what people are saying here. This is from Kevin, who says this wasn't a good match at all. Sorry, very sloppy. And Jeff doesn't need to take the bad bump through the table, giving the swanton. I feel like it's one of those things where he feels, you know, he has to do it because that's what people, you know, I think that's what people want to see. So obviously, it's one of his big, you know, one of his big spots. So people are going to want to see that. But this is from Matt Hensley, who says, I feel like even the commentary table was confused, and that's not what you want on a wrestling show. They did, you know, figure it out towards the end. But yeah, it was a little rough getting there. So this probably wasn't the best that it could have been. I think they should have just done like I think I would have preferred had they, you know, done the tables match and either like the first person, like let's say Matt went through the table first. That's it. Matt and Jeff both lose. That's it. Butcher and the Blade win. You know, like they could have done it like that. Or it could have been just a little bit more explained to the people because it did add some confusion for sure. Alrighty. Battle of the Bouts, April 16th. I didn't even know Battle of the Bouts was on April 16th. So I'm probably not going to be watching that show because I have Mission Pro Wrestling that day. So anyways, we have Thunder Rosa versus Nyla Rose. That's the only match that has been announced so far. And that's going to be obviously for the AEW Women's Championship. That's about it that we got so far for Battle of the Bouts. But we got actually a week and a half. So maybe we'll get another match announcement this Friday. Maybe another one next week on Wednesday. And then by then it'll be, and then some more on. So they got 3 shows. They got 3 shows to do a couple more match announcements. So they got time. They got plenty of time. Alrighty, let's see what else we got here. We also have, Shida versus Julia Hart. This was an Owen Hart Cup qualifier. This was interesting. Julia starts attacking Cheetah. She chokes her, She's choking her with her varsity jacket. And Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison are like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And she's like, get out of here. Like, she doesn't want them. She's rebelling. It's like she's rebelling against her older brothers. And she's like done with it. She's done with them. We're seeing this turn happen. We've been seeing it for a while. She hasn't been all there. You know, she's been sitting there like, you know, super emo out on the steel steps, all sad and, you know, depressed looking and all of that. And now she's showing attitude. So she's essentially an adolescent right now. She's going through her teenage rebellion phase is what it feels like. But anyway, so she does this match. It's a very, very simple match. She did the softest clothesline I've ever seen. The softest clothesline ever. It was like a hug. I do think that, you know, when she gets a little bit comfortable, she needs to, you know, really, really go in there, you know, add just a little bit more fire in there. Bless her heart. But yeah, she does need to lay it in a lot more. Cheetah kills her with a knee strike to the midsection with a drop kick off the chair to the outside. So Cheetah's going out there and beating her like there's no tomorrow. So that was good. Spinning knee strike from Shida. That was nice. Falcon arrow. She eventually ends up getting the win as predicted. So Shida advances. And then Serena Deeb and her have this moment after the match where Serena Deeb is holding a chair and Shida is holding her kendo stick. And they kind of have like this moment of like, are we going to battle it out here with our weapons or are we going to wait? What's going to happen? Eventually, Deeb exits the ring and that's how that ends out closing this match out. So we are seeing the evolution of Julia Hart. She's going into a bad girl now. She might join Jade Cargill's baddie section at this point. And then we now get Cheetah qualifying for the Owen Hart Cup. So good stuff. Haj Gulashi says the hug line. It was the softest little thing I've ever seen. I don't know how else to explain it. Let's see what else we got. This is Andrew who says they've taken so long with Julia's turn. Glad they're finally moving it along, but this was another women's match that felt like unnaturally stretched through commercial. Yeah, it didn't need to be as long because you know that it's clear to the audience that Shida and Julia Hart are on two different levels. And so nobody was really buying that, hey, Shida was, not going to win this match in a dominant fashion. We all knew she was going to win in a dominant fashion. Fashion, yeah. And let's see what else we got. This was something from Supa who says, I thought Julia was going to use the miss to win. We'll see if it eventually happens here. Let's go through some more here and get some thoughts. This is from Final Act who says, this long storytelling for Julia is just not working. Whenever she does fully turn, no one's going to care. The time has passed. Yeah, I think they could have done it the second she came back. Like the second she came back, it could have been one of those things where it's like she's all in black and she's all gothic looking and people were like, oh yeah, like Julia's a bad girl now. But I think though, I agree with you. They should have done it right away. But at least now, maybe we're getting, I don't know, Julia's getting a little bit more time to actually tell this story. But the whole purpose, right, is she gets misted. And so that causes her to be like, I think they didn't want to make it as like too supernatural if she gets misted and then the next day she comes in and she's a bad girl. So now instead we're seeing this like slow development of her, going into her gothic phase. So yeah, it does feel like a slow burn, but I guess I can see why they're doing it. I'm trying to figure it out. All right, let's see what else we got here. All right, let's move on from here. This is Bruce who says Julia using the miss would be amazing. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's move on from this. Afterwards, we get a backstage segment where Swerve Strickland is talking about the Grammys. That was good. I like that. Present him as a bigger star being associated with Hollywood. So good for Swerve. And then after this, we got Hobbs and Starks who end up jumping Keith Lee and Swerve backstage in the locker room. And my favorite part was when Keith Lee puts Powerhouse Hobbs through the wall and is just like, looking like the Hulk. It's great stuff. So that was fun. Nice little beatdown. Cool. Furthering that story on. Alrighty, and so let's talk about some of the matches that were announced for AEW Rampage and Dynamite, and then we're going to go into the main event. Before I wrap this show up, guys, or as we make our way towards the end of the show, just a friendly reminder, as always, if you haven't already, head on over to youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. Up there, I have 12 new videos. I have interviews with Becky Lynch, AJ Styles, Naomi, Becky Lynch, who else? Rhea Ripley. And then on top of that, I have the media scrums from Ring of Honor there with Samoa Joe, FTR, Mercedes Martinez, Jonathan Gresham. And then on top of that, I have the Cody Rhodes scrum. That one's really, really good, guys. If you haven't heard it, check it out. There's a lot of information in there. It's a good little podcast hour. If you guys need a podcast to listen to, it's about 50 minutes. But there's a lot of information in those 50 minutes. So those are really cool. And then on top of that, I posted my vlog, which I was talking about earlier on top of the show. Check that one out as well. There's a lot of cool stuff if you guys want to see that, including some of the behind the scenes for GCW, which was a lot of fun. But now for the AEW Rampage this Friday, I will be here to talk about both Rampage and SmackDown. So I will be back for my Friday show. We're going to have Jon Motsley versus Wheeler Yuta. So I think this is going to, we've seen Jon Moxley versus Wheeler Yuta before. And last time I remember kind of being a little surprised at how quickly Jon Moxley beat Wheeler Yuta. I don't think it's going to be the same thing this time. So I'm expecting a little bit more meat in this match. We're also getting Swerve Strickland versus Qut Marcel. I think this is definitely going to be a quick, this is just really going to be for Swerve to get a nice little victory on Rampage from the sounds of it. Bryan Danielson versus Trent Peretta, I think is going to probably be match of the night. If not, Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta would probably be match of the night, but those would probably be the matches that I'm assuming are going to be match of the night. We're also getting an Owen Hart tournament qualifier between Willow Nightingale versus Red Velvet. A lot of people really happy to see Willow. So good for her. Red Velvet, very fiery girl. So good for her too, getting into this match. So I'm pretty sure, I feel like Red Velvet may advance in this, but we'll see. We'll see. AEW Dynamite next week. We are also getting an AEW World Titles match between Red Dragon and Jurassic Express. That should be a good one. We're also going to be getting a trios match between Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz against Jericho Hager and Daniel Garcia. Alrighty, now we're going to go ahead and get into the main event, guys. And I'm going to scale this one down because there was a lot that happened in this match. And my plan, I don't want to go through every single move because I kind of wrote down everything, but I want to just trim it down a little bit and talk about why this was an entertaining match. So they gave this probably, God, I don't know how long it actually was, but I think when I looked, there was still 22 minutes left on the entire show. So they gave it a good amount of time. Now, I think the reason why, aside from both of these teams being really good, the reason why this match was particularly good was, one, you're already going in there with the hype of, hey, these guys have had, a banger of a match at Full Gear 2020 when they, broke obviously the 5-star scale. And so they, did their thing. And so you already have that precedent sort of set in your mind already of, hey, these guys can go. Okay, cool. So we're building up. This is the second match that they have together. And the reason why I particularly liked it even more was because everything, they kept building this match. And at a certain point, there's so many times that I come on the show and I'm like, this match was good, but it never hit its peak. This match was good. It hit its peak and then built upon that. And that's what made it a very special main event, was that it hit a peak and they were like, oh, baby, it's hot right now, but we're not done yet. We're going to keep on going from here. And that's the best way I can describe it. They were hitting all of their big moves, which I'll talk about a couple of them right now because there were some good ones that I want to talk about. And, basically going off of that, we saw a lot of big moves, a lot of near falls, and a lot of these moments where the crowd was just buying it and soaking into it because it was very, very personal between all these 4 guys. And that was one of the things that I think just really, really was the reason why this match ended up being really good here. But some of my favorite moments, I'll just call out a couple here because there was some good stuff here. FTR locking in the sharpshooters on both Bucks. Nice little visual to have there. There was another moment where we saw Dax get the tag, and the second that he got the tag, he went in there and he creamed the hell out of Matt Jackson with several strikes, and that was really cool. I just love the energy that he brought into this match from here on out. Dax hitting the pile driver on Matt, going for the pin, ended up being a near fall there. We see Dax hit a suplex on Matt off the top rope. That was really good. After this, we end up seeing FTR going for the big rig, but the Bucks ended up countering that, and we end up seeing Matt hitting a Cash with a low blow. Then the Bucks end up hitting the big rig, and so that was kind of a oh shit moment for everybody watching. So they hit the big rig on Cash Wheeler. There's this huge pop from the fans after that, and again we get another near fall. After this, we end up seeing Matt hit a moonsault on Cash, another near fall. And then at this point, towards the end, we end up seeing there's a pin. There's a pin where we get Cash Wheeler takes a BTE trigger, and he's about to get pinned, but right before the 3, he gets his foot up on the rope, and that was another big moment during this match. People really love that. And then finally, for the win, we end up seeing FTR hit the BTE trigger themselves, and then the big rig for the actual win. So it was a lot of like bam, bam, bam. Oh, and you tried our move, so here we are doing your move. And so that was really cool. I think that this match definitely delivered, especially for, you know, for it being a main event match on Dynamite. Obviously, it's going to be a different level of the match where it's like, you know, pay-per-view match, Dynamite match, etc. I thought that it was really good, and it delivered so much more than I think I was anticipating, considering that, hey, it's, you know, it's a Dynamite match, so, you know, I'm not expecting it to live up anywhere near the level of the pay-per-view match, and it didn't. The pay-per-view match was still, you know, at a different level, but regardless, they still went out there and did a really phenomenal job, especially just like adding the excitement with all of the big moves, all of the near falls, etc. That was a whole lot of fun, and the crowd was definitely into it. They were definitely into it. Justin Martin says, awesome main event. Congrats to FTR on the best week ever. They've earned it. Congrats to you, Denise. You've earned it too. God bless you. Thank you so much to Justin Martin for sending in the super chat, and I definitely agree with you on this one here. Haj Galashi says, masterful tag team wrestling and mixing styles. Power Driver Finisher says, it was what tag matches should be, trying to tag to get the upper hand on their opponent. And let's go ahead and see what else we got here. Let's get some more comments, and let's go ahead. Oh, and by the way, guys, Samoa Joe being on the thumbnail of this video is not a spoiler. He was already announced, so FYI. There's some confusion there in the chat. He was already announced for the show, so now it's not a spoiler. All right, let's go. Yes, they did the cheek kiss as well, the little kissing on the cheek. That was pretty nice. Power Driver Finisher sends in a super chat saying, great vlog. Unlike MJF, I relate to pores. Thank you to Power Driver Finisher here. And this is from Pro Wrestling Fan, who says, banger match when AEW is starting. The Bucks said tag team wrestling can be the main event, and this match proved it. And the heel babyface roles reversed from Full Gear 2020 worked to perfection. And I think they've been proving on AEW now for quite some time that tag team wrestling is definitely main event stuff. They've been proving that with multiple teams. Obviously, a bunch of FTR matches, a bunch of young buck matches, but just a lot in general here. Let's see what else we got here. I think we got most of it here. And there you go, guys. That was the show here for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this review. If you guys enjoyed it, please make sure to share it with your friends, your family, if you have any wrestling family members. For sure, share it with them. Give this video a like, subscribe to F4W Online, and I will see you here on Friday to talk about Smackdown and Rampage. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you guys so much. Bye-bye.